Welcome to Real Geek Media. We get together, we talk about all things entertainment, movies, film, celebrities, pop culture, and interesting news stories. I am Hayden Stoll. I'm here with Christopher Michael Blake. It is May 23rd, 2024. Christopher, what's going on?
Geez, let me see. What are we reviewing tonight? Indiana Jones and the Temple of Shit. I'm
Oh,
sorry, I
be
say that out
nice.
loud. I'm sorry. Not my favorite. Not my favorite. But you know, we gotta review them all. We gotta take a look at everything, including the ones that end up on the bottom of my foot.
Ouch. Ouch. I guess this is a good part for me to say this is my favorite Indiana Jones film.
It's okay. We can disagree. And everything has to be. We don't have to like the same things.
Oh, man. So, yes, we're here. We're talking about Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom's 40th anniversary for this movie. Were you a big Indiana Jones fan?
I love the first movie. I love the third movie. The witty comebacks, the drama, the action, the whip. Uh, it's great. And then somewhere in between all that, they came up with this pile of rubbish, and it's still better than Kingdom of Crystal Skulls, I guess. But you know, and I sit here and I say to myself, what would be worse? The I sit there and watch the special effects for this, and I'm just not impressed whatsoever. For a Spielberg movie, I'm like, I think he mailed the check in. I really do. He was like, yeah, I'm okay. That plane crash that's gonna fly behind the Himalayas, don't worry about it. We could just the crocodiles that are filmed at the national park down the street, not a problem. Okay, we'll just throw a red robe in there. Nobody needs to see anything.
Oh, man.
Of course, you have the special effect of him tearing the human heart out, Mola Ra, ramen noodle, whatever his name is.
Mola
He reached
Ramen.
it.
Mola
Oh,
Ram. Mola Ram.
yeah, Mola Ram. Yeah, it's like a molar tooth, but he reaches into this guy's chest and grabs the heart out at one point. That's impressive. I thought that was pretty cool. Uh, but I don't know. What do these five stones specifically do?
You know, when I was a kid, I always thought they looked like baked potatoes. And I was just like, oh, these baked potatoes, they light up. But, you know, for me, this one has got the most action, most adventure, and it really feels like a nonstop action adventure. Once you get to the Pankot Palace, they discover the passageway, and it's scary, it's gross, it's funny. It gets all those other things that the other movies, like you cited 1 and 3, which I think is the consensus that most people like those the best. But for me, this one is just the action really got me as a kid. Like the minecart chase was the coolest thing. Next to the Endor speeder bike chase, you have the Temple of Doom minecart chase. And the effects are what they are. There's a lot of there's like some puppets. The mine cars, like miniatures, and some of the stuff. Yeah, it's dated, and it is Spielberg, but this is 1984. I mean, hard to compare. At the time, it's probably cutting edge, some of this stuff, but this movie gets a lot of flack as far as I know. Spielberg doesn't care for it, and it got a lot of flack for being mean spirited. And during the time of this, when this was being filmed, Spielberg was going through a divorce. George Lucas was going through a divorce, I guess, even when he was writing it. So some of that comes through. It's not as light as number 1. It's not as light as number 3. There's some dark stuff, hearts getting ripped out, people getting burned, and it's pretty gruesome in spots. And this is the movie that really moved the I guess the Motion Picture Association to create a PG-13 rating. This was a PG movie, and I remember seeing it as a kid, and I was so excited coming out of this thing. Like it's the mine cars, and it's the where he cuts the rope on the bridge and it just falls. Like that stuff is so cool. But not to get too sidetracked with that, it's a what a lot of people consider to be mean, like in just a lot of the attitudes of this film. I mean, would you agree with some of that?
I could definitely see it from the child labor law standards.
Right.
Having the kids in the chained up. And my first instinct was, is this China I'm watching or is this India? And I'm not sure which one it was. But I'll give you the good that I did like with this movie, because there are certain aspects of this film I do like. You mentioned Pancop House, whether Indy's in the room and short rounds of sleep, and he's sitting there counting for Willie to come into the room. He's like, she's not coming. And all of a sudden, that guy pops out from the wall because he's like blended in.
Yep.
And he takes the whip, and of course, in real life, the fan would have broke.
Right.
It's not holding him up. I mean, the falling spikes, the skulls, and the bugs. It's creepy.
Yeah.
And I had to give credit where credit's due. A lot of people probably going to trash Steven Spielberg. I'm sure he was having an affair with Kate Capshaw at the time this was going on. I thought that the chemistry between Harrison Ford and Kate Capshaw in this movie, Willie, was a lot better than Marianne from the first movie, and then they bring her back, dial it in for the fourth and the fifth. I was like, oh. But maybe that's life. Maybe that's you have those moments with people, but it's not quite meant to be. That's just maybe the way I felt. And you go back to the one that, the safer pick maybe. I don't know. I mean, but that's just how I thought. I thought the chemistry between Kate Capshaw and Harrison Ford in this movie was a lot better than the chemistry in part 1 and part 4. If there was any chemistry at all. I mean, that movie was ruined for a whole other different reason, but many different reasons.
Yeah. And, when you bring up Kate Capshaw, like this is another character that I think people have problems with. I don't, but
I thought it was good.
She's the very much opposite of Marion, where Marion is very capable and can handle herself in a fight and is resourceful. Willie Scott is a lounge singer, and she's not equipped for adventures. If this was Jumanji, she would not be a character in an adventure game. She is the damsel in distress. She's the one who needs to be rescued. And, when she does something that saves somebody, it's almost on accident. And, it's a good character, and it's a nice, differentiation of, this is not Marion. Okay. This is somebody totally different. And what Spielberg and Lucas wanted to do was have a new female lead, similar to like the Bond films, have a new female lead in each movie. And that was, this is like their version of their James Bond series, right? So there's a new leading lady in every film. And, what is good is it's a totally different character. It's not a rehashing of Marion again. And even in the third movie where you have the double agent German archaeologist, Elsa, she's
hot as anything. She's smoke show.
And again, similar,
but she talks in her sleep.
Similar to Marion in a sense, but the twist being she's a villain. And there you have three very distinct and different leading ladies in the series. And Willie Scott being I think one that most people have a problem with. But I think in this role, it works and it's fine. It introduces additional side characters, and Short Round, and however you feel about Short Round, I thought he was a cool character, especially as a kid when I saw this.
I just wanted to see the what is it when he pulls it out in Goonies? It's the pincers of power.
Pinchers of peril.
Yeah. So I was waiting to see that. That would have been more entertaining. Look, the kid's a good actor. He was in 2 phenomenal movies around the same time in terms of Goonies and this movie. I don't take anything away from him. He did a great job in both movies. I'm surprised he didn't have a bigger career. Real talk. And he's not the reason I don't like this movie. Not one bit. I don't have a problem with Short Round. My problem is just maybe I can't verbalize it enough, but when they're jumping out of the airplane in a raft and it's just like over the top, overboard, and it's like, and no one gets a broken bone, a splinter. It's like, okay, yeah, right, okay. And then we got to put fire into somebody's face. It's like, oh, nobody thought of this before for the last,
Listen, if they're ripping people's hearts out in the movie, like if you're at that point after the raft, how did you make it through the rest of the movie?
Again, is this a terrible movie? No. But just in terms of the dynamics of the series, if it was a standalone movie, maybe it'd be a little bit more favorable for me. But just because number 1 and number 3 are so awesome and so good. I mean, I can remember watching Raiders of the Lost Ark along with Star Wars, both on video cassette, right after bam, 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 being able to sit there and quote the movies at 6 and 7, 8 years old. And then I watched this one and I said, it just didn't hold my attention the same way. It just didn't do it for me, even at that age, and maybe that still carries over now. Again, it's not a terrible movie. The monkey seeing brain part, that's pretty cool.
Chilled monkey brains.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's interesting. You have the snake and they're cutting the snake open and all the bugs are flying out. Yeah, okay. Look, some of the other cool things I thought was, I would have my rap battle with the Thuggee Nation, the Thugee Cultists. I'm okay with that. But you gotta drink the elixir, and who's the original one who drank the elixir? Why would you not just poison everybody at the table who was sitting there at dinner? I don't know. These are questions that I would ask myself, like, oh, we can't.
Yeah. Now at that dinner, they had the British Army captain.
You would want that guy on your side,
right? The British Army captain was there, so
who was all about useless. I mean, he comes in at the end, and now we have to shoot it was like John Wayne showing up like at the end of the credits, like, okay, open field day. No criminal war trial yet. Okay, you have to worry about that today.
Now, they go out the raft. They stumble upon this village.
Well, I think you have to go back first. Hold on now.
Okay.
Was it Lao Chi?
Lao Che and Club Obi-Wan. Yes.
Right. And you remember who's at the airport to greet Harrison Ford?
Dan Aykroyd.
Yes.
Dan Aykroyd in a blink and you'll miss it cameo.
Do you know how he got in this movie?
Well, I know he was he was in 1941, Spielberg's previous movie. I guess one of his earlier movies. I don't know. Maybe he was asking, I don't know. Hey, put me in an Indiana Jones movie.
I think Spielberg did a guest spot in the Blues Brothers movies. And as an exchange in return, Dan Aykroyd had to agree to be in this as a future project, and this is the one he chose. Again, it's nothing more than just 30 seconds. You're gonna blink, you're gonna miss it.
Yep.
But that's how we got into the movie, and it's just a nice little Easter egg, I guess.
And because it's really just like maybe 1 or 2 lines, and that's it. Did you like the opening scene?
Yes and no. I thought it was over the top comedic. I mean, you got 30 guys running around. He's poisoned, and he can't find the diamond and the antidote, and they're switching off, and he skewers the guy.
That was awesome.
So
That was awesome.
that part was pretty cool.
That was
Yes.
awesome.
But then it just becomes over the top. They're shooting the machine gun at the guy, and he's hiding behind the big rolling pin, wheel. And it's like, okay,
Which is awesome.
it was okay.
Listen, that it's over the top. It's on. That's what it is, right? Like, in the first movie, he's running, and there's a gigantic boulder rolling after him, like absurd traps that, who would set these traps? Like, it's just one of those sit back and, turn your brain off and just go with the flow. Do I believe that any normal human being would get out of that scenario? No, they'd be dead in that club. There's no way, but this is Indiana Jones. He's going to jump out the window, go through each one of the awnings, and land in the car in the back seat. He's just sitting right there.
Yeah.
But it opens with a musical number, which
wasn't bad.
Which was cool. Which was cool.
Shanghai, yeah.
And it's pretty interesting. They got like the main title popping up, and it's behind the dancers and Kate Capshaw. It's a pretty cool opening, and you get he's in trouble right out the gate, just like in the first movie. Cool little action sequence, and then we get to the airplane after they leave. They jump out through the raft, down the slope, and eventually meet up with the village elder, and we're introduced to the Shankara stones, the sacred baked potatoes of this village.
And I don't understand what these stones actually. I mean, like, they bring fertility. Do they bring life? Do they bring They say when the stones disappear, all the wildlife dies. The animals die. People start starving.
Right.
Illness starts coming.
Right.
The children disappear.
Yeah, so they take the kids, they take the stones. The village is dying, like you said. The crops, everything, just in shambles. And you could say it's like, I guess, a lazy trope. Go save the children, or all of the children have been taken. We need the kids. Please save our children. You know what I mean? Like, it's an easy way to get the audience behind you, right? Like, who doesn't say, oh yeah, man, you got to save those kids, right? Like, that's an easy one, right? It is what it is, right? There's a scene later on in the movie where the kids are being freed, and Indy's just beating the guards senseless, and all the kids are running for freedom. And it's like, nowadays, when you look at something like that, and people would call that, he's like a white hope or whatever, and just degrade it. It's like, it's a different kind of thing that if this movie were to come out today, they would be like ripping it apart because of a scene like that. Similar to like Extraction with Chris Hemsworth, where he goes to save, this kid, and he's the white guy, and it's like, you get that whole some people have issue with that stuff. I don't know. It's just too much of that soft stuff they're breeding these days. I don't know. Like, but back then, like, it's like, oh yeah, save the kids. Got to do it. Must be done. We got to get these kids back to the village. So like, that scene is awesome when he's liberating the kids, beating up the guards. And there's one scene in particular where you hear like the over enunciated punch sounds, and you see the guy just sliding on the gravel, and then the camera pans up, and there's Indy, balled up fist. It's such a cool scene. And then the John Williams score's going, and it's so cool. Right? It's so cool. And this is Spielberg, like, not even like Spielberg in his, like, this is earlier Spielberg, right? So he's still kind of finding his groove, but he's still knocking it out of the park. There's a lot for me to like in this movie, right?
Was the voodoo doll one of the parts?
I thought it was cool.
Look, when the guy got run over by the rolling pin, you know, he got
Yes, the big
the
guy.
scarf. Yeah, they got caught. The scarf got caught in there, and he's even trying to save him at one point. He's like, "Yeah." Look, I was like, "Are we in Jamaica now, or are we in India? Which can we make up our mind today? Are we watching?" I don't know. So for me, again, it was one of those over the top stereotypes. It was just like, you
And
know,
fun fact about that, the guy that played that character is the same guy who was the German mechanic at the airport scene in Raiders.
he's a wrestler. Wasn't he a wrestler?
He was a stunt guy. I don't know if he was a wrestler or not, but he's also in. I think he's in Last Crusade as well, but I'm not sure which character he shows up as in there. I think he's wearing like a suit, so you don't really he blends a little more. He's a big guy, but you're not getting any of his muscles or anything in that movie. But yeah, like there's a lot of over the top stuff, right? The mine car chase, the whole thing, but like I said, I go back to as a kid, this was the action sequences were insane. And, whenever I would go and play with my brother, either at the park or anywhere, we would be reenacting cutting the rope on the bridge when we're in the treehouse or whatever. And, we'll do the mine car. This is the stuff that like shaped your imagination. Like when you were a kid.
And maybe I'm wrong here, but I think this even influenced you later in your life. Wasn't there an intramural sport team that you named? I wasn't even on the team, but I remember it.
It's funny. I never named him that. That was one of my roommates from senior year. No, it wasn't even him.
Who was it?
Ron.
Really? That was.
Yeah, he named that team. The team was named Kali Ma.
Oh.
And I think it was volleyball.
It was soccer.
Was it soccer?
It was soccer.
It was one of those.
It was soccer.
If it was volleyball, we wanted to call the team Three Hits. But yeah, like yeah, like I said, it's the action and the adventure and it's the stuff as a kid. I was 7 when this movie came out, and it just shapes your imagination, like what you see in the heroic way that Indiana Jones was, and you just reenact it. Same way with Star Wars, like those things influence you. When you saw this movie at 7 years old to where you see it now, you see it much differently, right? But like when you were a kid, you couldn't say, "Oh man, this is pretty cool," right? Much like a lot of the other Indiana Jones, the 1 and 3, but 1 and 3 were a little more, I think, serious, where this one is a little more campy, I think, in places.
I think it has some serious undertones with, the comedic under effect is supposed to be Willie in this movie. It's not supposed to be Harrison Ford, or the push-pull between the two characters. Again, I really enjoyed that. Mm-hmm. But for me, this is not my favorite Indiana Jones movie. Again, we can agree to disagree on that. And, there's nothing wrong. I'm not saying it's a terrible film. It certainly is not. It's just, if I'm passing by it on TBS, I'm going to keep going. And, I'll wait for Shawshank to come on, which is on every 15 minutes.
Shawshank 2, Temple of Doom. They got Red and he's in the cage. And you got the oh god, his name is escaping me. Clancy Brown is Molaram.
This guy's about to have an accident.
Exactly.
Do you trust Willie? Do you trust Willie? Because there's no reason why you can't keep those stones, Dr. Jones.
Yeah. There you go. Well, William Sadler would be short round in this movie.
I don't know. It's got to be in there somewhere, I guess. But Final thoughts on Temple of Doom there.
I mean, this whole series is like the epitome of action adventure, and everybody loves Raiders. Temple of Doom is a whole separate story, and it's funny, it's got action, it's got adventure, it's dark, it's gory, it's got everything. And if you've never seen it, it's worth a look. Decide for yourself. I love it. I love it, though. My favorite Indiana Jones.
It certainly does have a lot of action. It does have a lot of comedy. It's not a bad PG-13 movie, like you said. If you've got a young adult at home, young kid at home, to keep them entertained, at the same time not be worried about, I can't really show them anything that's going to be over the top, bloody or gory. All right, so there's a heart that comes out of a chest, and he holds it up, and it turns into fire. It's almost tame nowadays. They almost put that in like cartoons. I don't know, maybe not. It's okay. It's not a terrible movie. It certainly does have its moments. For me, it's just I don't know. I have a hard time just swallowing the whole thing, and maybe with the monkey brains, it's just like I can't do it. I don't know.
Fair enough. What do we got up next?
So, is your business looking for an affordable way to gain or attract new clients? Real Geek Media and Entertainment is now offering sponsorships on their podcast and website. What's that? Your business can't afford a sponsorship? No problem. Consider running an advertisement during one of our podcast shows. Advertising starts as low as $50. Just $50. Now, Hayden, I don't know if you know this or not, but McDonald's is starting to do a $5 value meal. Right? I'm sitting there thinking to myself, that comes with, basically a cheeseburger about the size here, and a small fry, which has like 3 of them in there, and a small drink, and then I think it's like 2 nuggets or something like that. But it's going to be a promotion. They're only offering it for 30 days. Real Geek Media offers this promotion for $50 all the time. So it's not a value trap where McDonald's is trying to get you in. Real Geek Media cares about their advertising. $50. You don't have to worry about the price expiring after 30 days. Visit realgeekmedia.com. Click on the links for sponsor us, advertise with us, or donate here to get started. Again, it's www.realgeekmedia, RealGeekmedia.com. We also have from author Christopher Michael Blake, author of the horror novel Pray for Dawn and science fiction thriller Pyramid of the Parasite, the mystery novel The Cape May Murders. 5 days before Halloween, retiring Chief Police Browning has 2 different mysteries to solve. The first is the reappearance of a woman missing for 25 years who has amnesia. And the second is a killer dressed as a Thuggee. No, that's not right. He's dressed as the Grim Reaper, killing off Cape May stakeholders. Well, he could be a Thugee cultist. Who knows? You gotta read the book to find out. Can Chief Browning figure out how these mysteries are related before becoming the next victim? He may even have a whip. You gotta watch you might cut the drawbridge, you might not. Only it's not the drawbridge, it's the Cape May Bridge. You gotta find out. The Cape May Murders is available now on Amazon.com, BarnesandNobles.com, and at www.ChristopherMichaelBlake.com. Hayden, once again, there is a clear-cut winner for the box office this week. It wasn't even close. It was a smoke show. Somebody is on a hotter roll than the Phillies between the two of us.
Wow.
Now, I'm wearing my Philly shirt. They swept
I saw
Rangers,
it.
They swept the Nationals.
You're going to have a
the biggest letdown in Philadelphia.
No, man.
Is Chris Carpenter stole Game 5 from us 2011. Yes, I agree 100%.
July, the last week of July, we're going to have a Godzilla vs. Kong level matchup. Yankees in Philly that week. It's a level 5 kaiju
Nobody
alert.
wins a World Series in July. Just remember that.
So you're conceding You're
No,
conceding the losses.
no. What I'm conceding is the fact that, and it's true for every single Philadelphia team.
Mm-hmm.
And believe me, I watched a lot of their sports. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
is they always play down to their opponent.
Yeah.
It doesn't. The games that you should roll over people, they don't roll over people. The games that are tougher, that they have to battle back against tougher opponents, they play up to those opponents. Uh, first round of a playoff. Oh, okay, we're just gonna breeze through this team. The team that scares me the most right now is the Chicago Cubs.
Is it really?
Yeah, because they're the team that we probably would end up playing if the season finished today. It would probably be them, or it's a team we haven't steamrolled like the Braves the last couple of years, or
Yeah.
Padres. So but digressing, clear-cut winner. So, you remember the movies we evaluated last week?
Yes. We had it was Planet of the Apes,
Yep.
Tarot, If, and Strangers.
Okay, so here we go. Planet of the Apes. You guessed 65 million. I guessed 40 million. The actual retail number, you ready for this?
Ready.
58.5. Hayden,
Ooh.
I gotta give it to you.
Ooh.
Gotta give it to you, Hayden. It wasn't even close. You blew me out of the water. The movie made a lot more money than I thought it was going to make. Very strong opening week. At this point, it's probably she wouldn't make 100 million at the box office. Did very, very well. Did very, very, very well.
That is pretty good. That is pretty good.
The Strangers, part 1 of, again, it might be under my shoe somewhere. I guessed 4 million. You guessed 8. The actual retail number, 11 million.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very strong opening weekend. Basically assures you another 3-part franchise we don't need.
Yeah.
Again, maybe I'll watch it, but I'm just like, it could do anything for me that I haven't seen in the first 2 movies at this point.
What can possibly be different than the first 2?
Look, I can tell you this. Like, I'm excited and hyped for Terrifier 3.
Right.
And the reason I'm hyped and excited about it, it's not because it's going to break new ground, or it's not because it's going to be scary. He will find new and inventive and gorier ways to off people.
Mm-hmm.
And he will laugh and you'll feel creepy inside watching this. It's like, I really shouldn't be enjoying this as much as I am. No, I'm serious. If you haven't watched any of the movies, it's like, he's going to hang this chick upside down and then take a handsaw and split her in two. And the camera will not deviate.
Bone tomahawk.
Oh, beyond. Beyond. You see, it's... Yeah, Terrifier 2, he's in the bedroom and he's literally ripping this chick's face off. And again, it's just... But I can tell you that's what I expect going into that movie. Mm-hmm. This one here is a lot more... Okay, it's creepy, and then these people are just in the house and they're wearing masks.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But we'll continue on here. Tarot. I guessed 2, you guessed 5. The actual retail number, 6.5. You smoked me. You smoked me 3 out of 3 so far.
Wow.
Again, I know you smoked me last week too, so I mean, again, you're on fire. The last one. We were way off on this one. If.
This made way more than I thought it was gonna.
Well, it's funny you say that. So before I start, there's a nice little article here from Forbes. Ryan Reynolds' If disappoints with $10.3 million opening, latest box office flop this year. The movie actually made 31.5.
Mm-hmm. So
you guessed 8, I guessed 12. I actually won that one, so I took 1 out of 3.
Yeah.
Or 1 out of 4. But, and I'm sitting here looking at this because I wasn't aware of this. The movie cost $110 million to make. They're saying it won't make the money back that it put out for the movie, for the budget. But I'm going to read some of the stars in this movie. You ready?
Ready.
Ryan Reynolds, Krasinski, Brad Pitt, George Clooney, Maya Rudolph, Sam Rockwell, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Bradley Cooper, Jon Stewart, Steve Carell, Aquafina, I thought that was a drink, Vince Vaughn, Bill Hader, Keegan Michael Key, Blake Lively, Amy Schumer, Emily Blunt, and Matt Damon. Now I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what a better way to make sure that your friends get paid and you make sure you don't make your money back, but to include all these rich celebrities.
Seriously.
And you probably, I mean, unless they're doing it, hey, I'll just be your friend or what, I can give you a friend price. I mean, I don't know.
But here's the thing, right? They probably appear as voice only, right? They're animated characters. Like, what are you doing? Right? Like, you could voice that role. I could voice that role because obviously they're not top billing, right? Steve Carell was probably in this more than Brad Pitt or George Clooney. They might have one line and you may recognize their voice, but do you think a kid is going to know that?
No.
They're not going to know it. If the line's funny, they'll laugh. They're not going to laugh because, oh, Brad Pitt is doing the voice. Kids don't know. And this is a movie for kids, right?
Yes.
That makes no sense to me.
I happen to agree with you there, Hayden. I do happen to agree with you. They said that the critics gave it 49% approval on Rotten Tomatoes. Audiences, however, generally more approving, 84%. However, critics really had a real tough time with this one. It looked like.
I definitely would too.
So, are you ready for this week's box office movies?
Ready.
One we talked about, Furiosa, the Mad Max movie. Give me your opinion on this movie before you give me the number. I'd love to know.
Okay. Here's my honest opinion of this. I don't give a shit about Furiosa. Give me a Mad Max sequel. Don't care about this movie. Don't care about her backstory. I think this is a $200 million waste of money. Who cares about this character? And it's not even the actress who played her. Like, so what? You might as well just make it a different character. Like, I'm not, like, the budget is like over 200 million, right or wrong? I don't know. I'm assuming everything is like a $200 million budget these days, right? I don't doubt that there's going to be some nice action sequences, some innovative things in vehicle combat. But honestly, if it's not Mad Max, what do we care?
I have a little bit of a different opinion, and maybe I felt like you did at first too. I was like, I really don't care about this character. The critics seem to, it's okay. The movie's decent. It's worth your time, but not quite the 6 Oscar nominations the last Mad Max movie got. I'll tell you what's changing it for me. And I often won't say this. It's the 2 actors in the movie. Anna, what's her name? Taylor Scout.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah, Anna. The movies that she's been in and the TV shows I've seen her in, Queen's Gambit, sticks out to me right now off the top of my head.
The Menu.
Again, she did a really good job in the movie. Ralph Fiennes did a good job in the movie. Benny Blanco did a good job in the movie.
Benny Blanco.
Yeah, he did. He did a good job.
He was good.
John Leguizamo, yeah.
Yeah.
But I wasn't in love with the script. I didn't get it.
No.
I just was just like, okay, really, we're gonna throw everybody because they're food stops. I mean, I just,
She's fine as an actress. There's nothing wrong with her.
And even Chris Hemsworth, he's basically playing the Thor character without the hammer, going around acting crazy, killing people. I can get into this. This is, look, it sounds like a little bit of fun. Look, and I'm okay with that. And it's because of those 2 actors, I'm holding up a little bit more hope for this movie than I would otherwise. Again, if you haven't seen Queen's Gambit, definitely check it out. It's amazing. Bill Camp in the movie. He plays a lot of B-level characters, secondary characters in a lot of movies. Great supporting actor. Definitely check it out. He deserved an Oscar nomination for that movie, or for the TV show. Not an Oscar, but Golden Globe. He definitely did. He did a great job.
Let me ask you this. let's say this movie flops, doesn't come anywhere near it's, making any kind of money, and kills any future Mad Max, setting, like a potential direct sequel to Fury Road, right? Like, at that point, like, wouldn't you be like, well, why the heck did you make this movie? Right? Like, I just don't see the logic in who is...
I have the budget, by the way. I have the budget.
What is it?
168.
That's
not
insane.
Quite the 2 million. Not quite the 2 million, but 200 million, but still.
It may... Man, I don't even know what to say to this one, right? Because I loved Fury Road, and I guarantee you people are going to go see this based on how good that was. The thing that is going to give people pause is that this is a character nobody cares about. And yes, the actress is fine. I'm not saying anything bad about her. I'm not saying anything bad about Chris Hemsworth, though he looks goofy as hell with the fake nose that you could tell is... Like, it's just... I'm not really sure. Was this character strong enough to warrant a prequel spin-off?
No.
We already saw that she was looking for the green place. She got back to the green place. We know it's not there anymore. What is this movie about? What do we care? I don't know. I don't know. The only thing that will hook me is that I'm interested in the action. That is about it. Because this character, you already know she's making it out unscathed because she's in the next movie. So
I've heard that she's not in the movie for the first hour too.
So what is it about?
Again, I'm just telling you that's what I've heard. I don't know how true that is. I had to watch the movie to
find
out.
The movie's called Furiosa. So eventually, do you have your main character in your movie? It's like, I'm not sure. Like, I feel like George Miller could have just made a direct sequel and people would have lined up to go see a Mad Max movie.
Yes.
And you know what would be even crazier is put Tom Hardy and Mel Gibson in it. And let's see what happens. People will line up to see this movie. Like, what are we doing?
I've heard horror stories. That Tom Hardy was extremely difficult to work with on that movie, where he would show up hours and hours. And now Charlize Theron, she's dressed up in the gear. She's got the prosthetic arm. It's hot out. She's sitting in this cab all day. And she would be lined up outside that car, sitting in that vehicle for 3 or 4 hours with no air conditioning, waiting for this Joker to show up on set.
Well, here's what I say to Charlize Theron.
And if you don't think that she probably went to this guy, George Miller, was like, this, I'm sure.
Listen, that's all well and good, but guess what? Nobody's going to go see a Charlene character's prequel movie. I just don't see it, right? Now, if you told me Tom Hardy, and this was a direct sequel, you think I care if he's 3 hours late? I don't give a shit. I just care if the movie's good. I don't care if Charlize Theron complains till she's blue in the face. I don't care. That's George Miller's problem, not mine. My problem is if I'm sitting there for 2 hours and if I'm not entertained, I'm not going to be happy about it. And I got to be honest, that movie, okay, it's going to have some cool action, but I don't care about this character. I don't. And Chris Hemsworth looks like a comedy sketch. Like, it looks bad, right? It doesn't look good. It's the gonzo nose. Like, what is this? I don't know where this is going to come out. I really don't. Like, it could be big opening weekend, massive drop off week 2, right? That's what I see.
Give me the number.
I'm going to go 45.
Okay. All right. Oh wow. Okay.
But I feel like week 2 is going to be like 10.
Okay. 51. That's my guess. 51. The second movie on our menu for this week is Lasagna.
Good segue, Bob Costas.
it's another it's another movie. I think it's just the critics have panned this one. It's been like nobody's happy with this. However, but it's been promoted as anything, and let's face it, there is really literally nothing else to take your kids to. I guess I'll start it off. Just because there's nothing else out, it's gonna have a big opening week, Memorial Day weekend, the extended weekend. 36 million.
25.
Wow. Okay.
But I agree with you. I think they were hoping for like another Mario Brothers, but this thing is, it's probably going to be dog shit.
Poor Odie. At what point do you just put him out of his misery? Look, at what point does the ASPCA stop off at John's house and be like, "Hey,
that's fair.
Can you lose your cat again, or what are you feeding this cat? He's on diabetes medicine.
Right?
Can we get the cat some Ozempic? I mean, I don't know.
Is he giving the cat insulin?
I don't know.
That's that. You know what? That would be an interesting follow-up or a different twist on the Garfield story. ASPCA shows up, this dude's feeding the cat lasagna. They're like, what are you doing?
Look, the main bad guy in that movie would not be the father coming back to rescue, into Garfield's life and get him in trouble. It would be the diabetes that comes into Garfield's life. And, it's just, Wilford Brimley maybe shows up and does a PSA at the end or something. I don't know. But the next film is one that me and you have interest in going to see also. This is coming out for another week. In a violent nature. The Jason movie without Jason. And that's basically what this is, right? We're going to film this guy just killing people in the middle of the road. He's not going to wear the hockey mask. He'll have some kind of mask on.
I'm very much interested in this movie. I just don't know how big of a release it's going to get.
They are playing the trailer in the movie theater.
You see a lot of commercials for it, right? Is it next weekend for this one?
Yes.
I'll go 8.
I think that's fair. Is it going to do better than Strangers? Probably not.
Strangers has the name, right?
I think you might be right on with that 8 million. I'll go one more. I'll go 9. It's kind of like when you get outbid on
$1.
Right?
$1.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna go 801. So we're gonna go with that for today. The last movie on the plate coming up is the Kathy Bates movie Summer Camp. I believe there's another big name actress in this movie. Eugene Levy's in the movie. Basically, it's a bunch of 70-year-old women who reminisce about going to summer camp when they were teenagers, and now get to relive their youth in their 70s by going there. So,
I've not heard anything about this movie.
Look, it certainly has who they want. It's Diane Keaton and Kathy Bates, Eugene Levy, 3 childhood best friends who go to spend every summer at sleepaway camp, come back after many years together. So again, it's going to appeal to a certain audience who may or may not know who Wilford Brimley still is.
So this is like a 80 for Brady kind of deal.
Look, all you need is some pods and a swimming pool, and you have Cocoon, right? I mean, roll Steve Guttenberg out in this movie, please. At this point, is Eugene Levy going to be doing the American Pie jokes with the pie? I mean, I don't know. I mean,
man,
but again, I think there's going to be an audience for it. I'll start you off with the bidding if you want. 15.
Next weekend it opens, or this weekend?
Next weekend. Again, it's competing against In a Violent Nature, Planet of the Apes, Furiosa.
That's a good
Garfield
guess.
movie.
15, I think is. I'll go 12.
Okay. Again, you gotta remember, there's gonna be a lot of older women
Yeah.
taking their husbands out, getting out of the heat to try to beat the heat because it's gonna be the start of summer. You know, just a guess.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right.
Aiden, again, I just want to say, visit realgeekmedia.com. www. Is that one too many W's? It might have been. realgeekmedia.com. Sponsor us. I'm telling you. Have you seen the airplanes, coming from Singapore? They're just, apparently there's all this turbulence and people weren't buckled in and airbags. You can only hope for that kind of crash landing if you advertise on us, on our podcast. We make that look like it's a piece of cake flying. Ours is totally unprepared, unscripted. You might be going to New York, but you know what? You're going to end up in Pocop House today.
Would you say it's like jumping out of an airplane with a raft?
Why didn't I think of that? Only if you have the antidote, Dr. Jones.
There you go. There you go. Christopher, what are we reviewing next?
Next week is Alien. Now, we hope to have a special guest. We'll promote it, but I believe we'll have a paranormal investigator. He'll be able to share some of his investigations. If everything goes as planned and he is able to make it. I don't have the name of his business on me at the time, but his name is Cody. And we'll see if we can get him on for next week. And we're going to discuss the movie Aliens with him and some of his investigations and some of the things he's currently working on. Should
be a fun time, geeks. I suggest you check us out. If you like what you see here and heard here, and if you want to keep the conversation going, by all means, check us out in 2 weeks when we talk about Alien. You can find us on social media, Real Geek Media, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and our website, realgeekmedia.com. Join us in a few moments where we're going to be talking about the news and all the fun and exciting going on in the world. Christopher, anything, parting thoughts?
Beware the Thugee cultists.
I'm Hayden Stoll. That's